Get going, all right. Be careful. When she finds out I've been playing a double game.
Where's she taking the dog?
America. America, she said.
Morning, Mr. Bognor. You're up very early. And you seem to have brought a great many friends with you.
Excuse me, sir. I thought we were pursuing a lady. We were.
I was just going fishing when I was waylaid by your colleagues here. I wonder if you'd be so kind as to ask them to remove themselves.
Hold on a minute. The dog must be in that box thing over there.
What dog?
A miniature poodle with the rather appealing name of Perfect Pretty Boy. And no tricks this time, Handyside. The dog's identifiable. It's been tattooed.
It could well be, but it just doesn't happen to be there.
Now, I want to see inside that box. Will you open it, or do we have to use force?
I don't know what you're rambling on about, dear fellow. But you're welcome to look. Not that there's any law against fishing tackle, so far as I know.
But I saw Miss Cordingley collect that dog. I chased her. First to Heathrow, and then... the motorway services. Just by the airport. She got out with her handbag, she went in, and it was you that came out, wasn't it? With an empty handbag. Heathrow! Excuse me. I've got to make a phone call.
You seem to have got yourself into a pretty pickle, dear boy.
Hello.
It's me.
Oh, Simon. What's happened? Is everything all right?
No, I'm going to America.
You're going where?
America via Piddlehampton Manor. Her Grace can give me Edgar Eagley's exact address.
Couldn't you just drop it, son? For my sake, please.
You're lucky I'm an early riser. Why didn't you ring and tell me you were in the district of Mr. Worthing?
Bognor.
Really?
The name is Bognor.
Well, I was going to say, Bognor's miles away, surely.
Lulworth Cove, isn't Duchess?
Indeed.
Nice little place. It's where Cecil Handyside keeps his cabin cruiser, only it's been impounded now by the police. Along with your friend Handyside, whose smuggling days are over. They picked him up an hour ago. Caught him red-handed.
Surely not. At Lulworth? Smuggling what? Rum?
Hardly, Your Grace. Dogs. Pedigree dogs. It's rather a witty spot to choose for it, I must admit. The last place you'd suspect today. And so convenient for you. Is that where you took Piddlehampton Peter when he went on his foreign tour?
You know quite well that none of my dogs has ever been abroad.
That's not what Cecil Handyside says.
You're bluffing, Mr. Bognor.
Well, why should I be? The game's already up.
Then what are you doing here? Where are the police?
For all its faults, the department does have a sense of propriety. We'd hate to see such an illustrious name as yours dragged through the press. However, if you could see your way clear to assisting us...
You're offering terms.
Asking for help, that's all. We've got to find your American contact, Mr. Eagley. Oh, please.
You won't catch me that way, young man. How should I know this Eagley person?
Look, word of honor, it isn't a trap. You see, I feel sure that we could persuade the police to look favorably...
I know you're lying, Mr. Bognor. If you think Cecil Handyside would implicate a purist of the realm in his business affairs, then you don't know the man at all.
He's an odious little creep.
Precisely. That's why I know I can rely on him. And now, if you'll excuse me, I've a dozen hungry dogs to feed.
Look, I'll ask you one more time. I must have that address.
You're wasting your breath, Mr.
Very
Bognor.
well. if you're prepared to find yourself in the dock with the likes of Cecil Handyside and Ailsa Potts...
Ailsa Potts? Come now. You chaps don't think Ailsa's involved, do you?
Certainly.
Then I should think twice about bringing your case to court. She's been resisting Cecil's blandishments for years. Pure as the driven what-not, dear old Ailsa. Take my word for it. It seems to me you don't know who your friends are. Do you, Mr. Bognor?
It's all right, Mrs. Potts. It's only me, remember? Bognor, Board of Trade.
I've had so many shocks and Surblington these last few weeks. She gets so jittery. What do you want coming bursting in like this?
Oh, I'm terribly sorry.
People are being attacked in broad daylight in Surblington, and they still haven't got the man who did it. My poor Rose.
Mrs. Potts, please, trust me. Whoever killed Rose, it wasn't the so-called rapist. The police have been looking in quite the wrong direction. You must realise that by now. You see, my department has stumbled on a gang of villains who'll stop at nothing to protect their line of business, and Rose knew who they were. Well, I think you do, too. Now, I can catch the man who killed poor Rose. I can put him behind bars, where he can't touch you. Yes, sir.
That's my breakfast.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please, trust me.
Well, why should I? You've done nothing but bully me ever since the day my dog was killed.
I misjudged you, Ailsa. I thought you were one of Handyside's accomplices, and now I need your help. There's a breeder called Edgar Eagerly. Handyside must have mentioned him.
What, the Yank? Oh, yes, he mentioned him, all right.
Good, yes. Now, do you happen to know where he lives?
Eagerly? In America?
Yes, indeed. But where in America?
Oh, you don't want him. He's a millionaire. He's rolling in it. Smuggling dogs isn't his game.
Well, possibly not, but I'd just like to talk to him as soon as possible, please.
Well, Handyside gave me endless bumps. These Yanks, fancy prospectuses.
Yes.
I've got some,
let me give you a hand.
Somewhere.
Up you come. There. Can I help?
And make a ghastly mess. No, thank you.
In that case, could I possibly have a piece of buttered toast?
Oh, not so particular now, young man. You turned your nose up at my sea cake.
I'm sorry. A scone?
Oh, go on, have what you like. I've lost my appetite with all this kerfuffle.
Thank you.
Now, a place with a funny name. Yeah? It's in a park.
Yes.
Got a picture of it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know, that's right. I used them all for litter when Petula had her puppies.
Oh, no.
Oh, I tell a lie. There's one here. Look. Big Moose. I knew it had a funny name. Adirondack National Park.
Ailsa, you're a darling.
You're hiding him. I know you are. He's got a lot to answer for. Bognor! Bognor!
Mr. Parkinson, I promise you he isn't under the bed. Well, he isn't in the bathroom either. Honestly, I'd give him a good roasting myself if I had him here.
Nonsense. You'd hide him, I know you. But where's he got to then, for goodness sake? Doesn't take 7 hours to drive from Dorset.
Don't blame me, but whatever he's gone and done, it wasn't my idea.
What wasn't?
I have a feeling he's playing a hunch.
Oh, no.
He's arrived.
Name? Oh, Simon Bognor, really. Make that just Bognor. To see Mr. Eagerly. Identification. Oh, right, wait a minute. Hang on. Please wait. Go. Please enter.
Mr. Bognor. Heidi-ho.
Sure.
Mr. Bognor.
Mr. Eagerly?
I do hope you like the portrait, Mr. Bognor. It's one of Coriander's finest works.
Oh.
Do step this way, Mr. Bognor. I'd like to offer you a glass of bourbon.
Well, do you know, it always makes me sick.
I expect you'd like to see the poodle. Well, I'm pleased to tell you that Perfect Pretty Boy is in perfect condition, though I have to admit that a lady's satchel is not the ideal contrivance for transatlantic transportation.
Am I to understand that you admit to having the poodle Perfect Pretty Boy on your premises unlawfully?
Of course, Mr. Bognor.
And that you admit to being party to its smuggling from Great Britain by Miss Cordingley?
Of course, Simon dear.
What is all this?
All this means that you found us, tracked me down, caught me poodle-handed. If you don't mind, though, I won't bother fetching poor old Pretty Boy. He's had a dreadfully tiring day. But his tattoo's still there, all right, so he won't come to any harm.
Good. In that case, I'd better use your telephone.
Now, Simon, dear, do use your wits. You're here because we want you to be here. We decided a long time ago that your attentions were becoming tedious. So we arranged with Albert Ramble to tip you off about our plans.
You arranged it?
Oh, he thinks he's playing a double game for you. Of course, it was for us. And we made sure that you'd make a complete fool of yourself as publicly as possible. Which I hear from Cecil Handyside you did quite beautifully. Once that had happened, we argued that you'd be in no great hurry to face your superiors and would probably resort to your splendid sense of initiative. We dropped you enough clues after all. I even reminded you about darling old Edgar J. that lunchtime at the Perch and Parrot, don't you remember?
Do you mean you led me here deliberately?
Well, I'm sure you know the story of the blind man, Mr. Bognor. Huh? Standing at the crossroads with his guide dog by his side. A stranger comes up. And while they're waiting for a gap in the traffic, the dog relieves itself against his master's leg. Now, after a while, the blind man reaches into his pocket, pulls out a piece of meat, and feeds the dog. Oh, excuse me, says the stranger, but why are you rewarding him? Oh, I'm not rewarding him, says the blind man. I'm finding where his face is so I can kick his ass. Ah!
You see, we felt this was the perfect place to stage an unfortunate accident. Besides which, it ties in with Edgar's guard dog research. We'll have to say you managed to break into the grounds, snooping around at dead of night. And you are known to make a habit of nocturnal prowling, aren't you, Simon, dear? And that naturally the dogs, well, disposed of you.
The dogs are quite remarkable. You will be making a unique contribution to canine genetic research and the study of aggression in the canine when deprived of food. A dog requires 43 nutrients, Mr. Bognor. Now, in the few days prior to your arrival, the dogs that we have chosen for this experiment have been deprived of any nutrient whatsoever. Water's all they've had.
Which reminds me, do you swim?
More or less.
Oh, goody. In that case, we'll start you off from the island. Much more fun. Now tell me, is there anything you'd like to know before we start? Since you're not going to be able to pass anything on, I'll tell you absolutely everything you want to know.
More bourbon, Mr. Bognor.
Oh, I've got... thank you. What if I make a break for it now?
You get about 100 yards from the door if you are fast off the mark. Edgar has staff, even if you haven't noticed them.
Drink up, Mr. Bognor.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I don't like it much, actually.
Oh. Well, I'm sure there are one or two questions you'd like to ask.
All right, yes. Yes, there is just one question. Why did Handyside have to kill that poor girl, Rose?
He didn't.
I mean, he could have bought her silence.
I'm telling you, Simon, he didn't kill her. I did.
You did?
She was my helper, Simon. She could have taken us to the cleaners. You see, I couldn't be everywhere at once. Rose went to all the dog shows. She slipped the drugs into the ones we were going to smuggle.
Drugs?
Oh, Simon, dear. You don't think Edgar and I need a few measly £1,000 prize money from foreign dog shows, do you? Now, Handyside and Percy Pocklington have been smuggling dogs for years, haven't they, Edgar?
Oh, yes, dear.
And then we came on the scene. And what we saw was a very well-oiled operation. Dogs to South America and back, to here, to everywhere. Handyside still thinks he's only smuggling dogs. Rose knew better, unfortunately for her.
Drink up, Mr. Bognor.
As you're swimming, Simon, I'd take all your clothes off if I were you. We can give them to the dogs for scent.
All my clothes?
It'll make you lighter. But don't be so British. You can keep your underpants on.
I shall give you a 10-minute start to swim across the lake from the island. Normally, this exercise would destroy your trail, but I believe my breeding has given these animals a highly enough developed nose to get over that.
What if I escape from the compound?
Surely you saw. It's like a stockade. No one could ever get out of that. Not even an Olympic pole vaulter. And Simon, dear, you're hardly that.
It shouldn't take long unless you resist, in which case I suppose it could be painful. But they've been trained to go for the throat. One bite and you're gone. Forget the boundary fence, Mr. Bognor. Now, if I may have your clothes.
Goodbye, Simon. You have 15 minutes. Make the most of them.
Haven't you forgotten something?
You're wasting your time, Mr. Bognor. I have the petrol feed.
Come on, Bognor. We saw your eyelids move.
Where am I?
Utica Infirmary, state of New York.
Dogs?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty fierce dogs. But they won't harm anybody now.
How did you find me? I can't thank you enough.
No, don't thank me. Thank your girlfriend. She phoned Parkinson, he phoned me, and we arrived at Bognor just in time to pick up men, women, and beasts, the whole shebang. You were a very good decoy, Bognor.
Aren't you going to say anything, sir? Having been kind enough to come all this way, I mean, aren't you going to shout at me, you know? Display of unforgivable incompetence, rank insubordination, a disgrace to the department, you know, the sort of thing. I can't deny it. I've been a fool, and a disobedient one at that. I've gone against your instructions at every turn. I should consider myself lucky to be licking stamps in the mailing office from now on, sir. Aren't you going to say anything, sir?
I think you said it for me, Bognor. I'll see you in the office, but don't be late.